What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
Today we got some special guests.
Let's get into this.
All right. What's up, everybody, at the Horror Chronicles podcast world? We have a very special episode for you tonight. We got some awesome people that we met at the American Haunted America conference.
Yes.
And we're pretty excited that they got back with us so quickly to come on the show, because once we seen what was going on in there, you're gonna see and be able to tell what's going on. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's freaking killer. So guys,
pretty cool.
Why don't you introduce yourselves real quick, and we will go on from there.
Alrighty, so our group's called Phantom Science. We do investigations, and we also build our own equipment, which we will be releasing out pretty soon. So my name's John Black.
I'm Nico Griffin, Phantom Science.
Adam Hyatt, and I'm the one that met you guys.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys got to listen to my spiel already.
Well, man, that's what got you on the show for real. We were like, man, this is some kick-ass shit that you guys are putting out.
Yeah. Was that your wife that was with you at the...
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so your wife actually gave us the spiel, and then you came over and fixed it all.
Right. Yeah. She did an amazing job. We were hooked. She does. Yeah. She doesn't know all the technical terms, and neither do I. That's John's job. But
I can fluff my way through most things.
Yeah. There you go.
But we were super excited when we seen what you guys had going on. I was like, dude, this is awesome.
All right. Well, while we're talking about that, guys, why don't you tell us what you've got going on?
Yeah. What do you guys do over there?
Well, actually, we got prototypes of a bunch of stuff. But the one that you guys saw was the sensor lab, what we call the sensor lab. It's got a bunch of sensors, and they take readings every second, and they commit them to it's called comma separated values, but you can read them in Excel or you can chart them, and it does temperature, humidity, light level. It does radiation. It's actually got a Geiger counter on it. It's got a 3-axis magnetic field, so it does X, Y, and Z of the magnetic field around it. So, and it's also got a range meter on there that we're still dinking with. So basically what it really lets you do, instead of when we're investigating, we turn up with a bag full of stuff, and we got a thermometer gun, and we got the EMF meters and everything. Basically now what we do is we plonk this down in the room that we're investigating, turn it on, and let it run, and it will run. It will run 24 hours on a charge, so we can get I think like 52,000 records, so it's every second. So
holy crap!
If the temperature changes, we see it, and then the nice thing that it does is it lets us see correlations, which we can go into later. But, when one thing changes and then another thing changes, and then also what's happening around you when it happens, because they're timestamped. So you can go back to your recording devices or your video, and you can look, if you think something's happening, you can look on that data sheet and see if the environment changed. Magnetic temperature, radiation, all that kind of stuff.
That was pretty cool. They showed us a lot of that.
Yeah, they showed us some of the graphs and stuff and how it graphs stuff out, and amazing.
It floored me, because as I was telling Adam, I used to have my own team way back in the day, and like you said, we'd have all this stuff we were carrying around, doing all this shit, and then I seen that, and we lifted it up, and it was like no weight to this at all.
Yeah, that thing weigh like 5 pounds or something like that?
If it's wet.
Yeah, probably not even 5 pounds.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it was pretty light.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed by that. And then with everything that's in there and how much it weighs and just all that, I was like, man, this is fucking killer, dude.
Yeah. Man, if you guys don't mind, send me over a picture of that thing, and I'll put it in the video here. whenever I edit down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I definitely want people to see this, man. It's a work of genius, man.
100%.
Actually, that's why we got no hair. The wireless. I want this book.
Yes.
I just noticed that. I'm like, wait,
That's like, my God, we got 3 dildos on the other end of the camera.
Yeah, you guys are fitting in just great.
So, before we get into any more of the stuff, that you guys do, let's get a little background on you guys. Why did you start getting into paranormal, or what started off for you, and what got you interested in everything?
Adam, you start.
Well, I'll tell you what started with me. It was my wife's fault. Like a lot of men,
just like everything else.
Right. Yeah. When we were dating, she liked watching the original Ghost Hunters. Back when they were actually cool.
Yeah, like the first couple of seasons.
Right. Yeah. And she, kept bugging me. You got to watch this. You got to watch this. I'm like, whatever. And it was the Lighthouse episode at St. Augustine.
Oh,
where they caught the image of the thing leaning over the railing and taking off. Yeah. And that's what got me interested. Like, I want to catch that. I think that'd be awesome. So that was 12 years ago, something like that.
Oh man, yeah. No,
it was longer ago than that. That was in like when did that show come out? Like 01, 02,
something like that. It was a long time ago.
Time ago. Because I've been married for almost 16 years, and that show that you're talking about was before I even met my wife.
Right. Yeah, so I think she made me watch a rerun. It's probably what happened.
Yeah, okay. I gotcha.
Well, that's the same episode that they found? Like they had is that the same one where they had the video of the chair moving upstairs or something like that? That's at the top of the.
Yeah, they had something move up there. Yeah,
I think it was a chair.
Was that the same one?
I think it is.
It may have been. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But yeah, that's cool. That's actually kind of what got me into the paranormal stuff too. I mean, I've always had a weird thing with paranormal since I was a little kid. We've told the story on here before, like I seen a lot of shit growing up. The land we lived on, lived up, and we lived around Troy, Missouri.
Okay.
So there's a lot of Native American things up there, like Troy Trojans and the Winfield Warriors and all the freaking Native American stuff they had up there and all that stuff. But anyways,
who the hell names their football team after a condom?
Yeah. Well, it's I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole nother podcast. But no, we had a lot of crazy shit that happened at our house on the property we lived on. So I've been around it for a long time. And then finally, when I was probably in my mid-teens whenever I found out about ghost hunters and all this stuff. And then that really got me into it. And that's when we started going out and doing our own thing. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. What about you, Nico?
Well, for me, it was kind of a lot like you. I had a lot of random things happen to me when I was a kid. Some things happened to my friends and parents, but nothing that, I couldn't really write off. I didn't really put any weight into it until when I was younger. It was on Halloween, actually, and my little brother and I were trick-or-treating late, and we went to sleep in the same bed. I mean, he was like little, like 4 years old, 5 years old. And in this house that we were in, it was my stepdad's grandparents' home, and they had this really big, older mansion. I was trying to go to sleep, and something opened the door. All of a sudden, when we were laying there, the door just opened by itself. And that's when I started going, oh, what the heck? Something weird. And, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, but other than that, nothing really stuck with me. That kind of stuck with me when I was a kid. I just kind of wrote it off. But nothing ever really happened to me until I started going to these places with John. John was the one who, he started putting together a team, and we started going together. That was when some of my first experiences were. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's John's fault.
Pretty much.
Okay.
John drug you down this path.
I'm
did.
company scapegoat.
So, John, what about you, bud?
Well, I mean, I grew up, I was interested in it. I mean, so I come from Enfield in London, and I grew up in Enfield, Enfield big. So, and I, I looked into the SPR. I used to follow like the old time guys like Tony Cornell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was only about 3 or 4 years ago, a friend of mine invited me to Edinburgh Manor here in Iowa to do a ghost hunt. So I thought, I'm a very logical, I work in IT, so I can logic most things away.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. So I thought that'd be fun, but you get to hang out, it's like camping in an abandoned building. But then something happened when I was there, in that we were there, and there was another buddy of mine who also, a non-believer. We were just there to be there. And we both heard kids' voices. And I was like, what? I looked at him, his face had gone white. He looked at me again, I'm like, yeah, we're hearing that. And then, ever since, I've always kind of want to diagnose it now. I want to go to these places and see what's actually happening, because I guess my angle at it is, a lot of people, classify ghosts and this and that. And I'm like, well, you can't classify something that's never been proven yet. And if ghosts exist and we can be aware of them, they've got to be manipulating our universe under the laws of physics. Otherwise, we'd never notice them. So something's got to be manipulated. So that's kind of my angle on it. I like going and seeing, what's happening when things happen.
See, and that's cool, because on our podcast, we talk about a plethora of things. We talk about horror movies, we talk about paranormal, we talk about aliens, all cryptids, all that creepy shit. But what's cool about it is like you said, with the paranormal aspect, from your point of view, something is manipulating our atmosphere, or whatever it may be. Time and space, dimensions. Which we get into all that kind of stuff here. We talk about different dimensions, because I'm a dimension person. I believe in higher, lower dimensions, high frequency, low frequency beings and things like that. But a lot of the paranormal stuff that happens to you is like a personal thing. Mm-hmm. Most people think of it as, oh, you're crazy, it's not really happening, until it happens to them, and then they're like, shit, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And then like you said, you try to explain that, which is cool, and that's the way it should be. You should always try to see what the hell is actually going on. And it's crazy. The whole hearing children's voices or laughter is like pretty frequent in the paranormal experiences. And my belief on that is that children have a high energy. They put off a big force.
Especially your kids.
Yeah. They're little hellions. But they put off a lot of energy, and they got a lot of energy. And I think a lot of people think that they say, oh, well, the reason who do believe in the paranormal, well, the reason why they go after demons or whatever they may be, go after children, is because they're innocent. To me, I don't really think it's because they're innocent. I think it's because they have such a close connection to being dead, because there's a thing there when you're born, and death and being born. And then also they have a high level of energy that they're pushing out there. Mm-hmm. And that's what they can feed off of. And that's what helps them either break dimensional walls or whatever that means.
Well, and that's one of the theories behind poltergeist activity too.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it. I don't know what your guys look at.
One of the questions I've always had is, okay, so ghosts, let's say if ghosts exist, they're the spirits of people that have died, right? But has anybody ever thought it could be the spirit of someone that hasn't even been born yet? Because if you exist after death, why, that means it's very possible you could exist before you're born. Right. Yeah. So why does the ghost have to be someone who died? It could be someone that hasn't been born.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's a very good, very good point.
That kind of brings me to the point that we were talking about the other day, which is like the Akashic Records. Have you guys heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
So the Akashic Records, you can find your past life, people who are in your past life, and sometimes, like whenever you meet someone and you guys click automatically, you feel like you've known someone forever. You could have known them in a past life. So it's just a big, huge, round connection of everything.
I probably wouldn't have put up with you in a past life.
You were probably doing a lot of things to me in a past life, but
fucking snorting cocaine off a stripper's ass.
No, I think that it's pretty cool when you get into these conversations. And
you know what? You better hope that's a skinny stripper, otherwise you get OD.
Yeah. We're going to need a little more.
Need a little more.
When they start putting corn in Coke.
Boom. He's here all week, folks.
That's what it's at.
I got a peanut.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
Oh, I guess. I mean, Adam's been doing it longer than me and Nico.
Yeah. Probably 12. I've probably been doing it for 12, 13 years.
Yeah, about the time when the wife hung you with watching Ghost Hunters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
I've been doing about 4. I think Nico is just a little after that.
Yeah, about 3 and a half. Yeah.
So,
because when I heard what he was saying about it, knowing how skeptical he is, like he explained to me, that put a lot of backing into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've known him for a long time and worked with him for a long time, and I was like, ooh, there might be something to this. I want to come.
That's the thing. The point I try and get across to, a lot of my friends are very, logical minded, and they're like, "You're doing what? Why are you doing that?" But I found that since I've actually gone to places and actually looked for things, I've had a lot more anomalies happen that I just can't explain, or I've had, equipment register things, and I mean good equipment register things that they shouldn't register at times where something's happening. So I look for correlation and things like that, and I think if you actually go look, nothing's ever happened to me in my life until I started going looking, and then since I started going looking, there's been some incidents where I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Those are the best ones. Those what the fuck comments.
They are.
Yeah. So John, it sounds like you look at things from a scientific aspect.
I always try. I won't go near anything. When I'm thinking about stuff, I try and clear the board. I don't think of, any kind of spiritual stuff or religious stuff or anything like that. I try not to go into the compartmentalization, of like, demons or shadow people or anything like that. I just clear the board, because if I don't do that, then I can't look at it objectively. I try and look at it, okay, what am I actually really seeing? And then I want to know, the mechanics. I don't care about the whys, or I want to know the hows. And
how did that happen?
Yeah, because if we can narrow that down, then we can start. The main goal is to say, okay, if we do this, then that happens. That's the classic experiment. And if we tell people to do it at this place at this time, that will happen. Then you've got pretty good evidence of an intelligent reaction to whatever you're doing.
And but you're also open-minded.
Yes. No. Yeah. I'm not a skeptic. I'm fully open to the possibility. I guess where I stop, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but I stop at all these definitions that are out there that people have, because I'm like, well, okay, that's a good thesis, but where's, it's an opinion. You haven't got any data behind that
to back it up, right?
Yeah. At least not hard data. Eyewitness testimony, you ask any lawyer, it's usually not very good.
Oh, eyewitness is probably one of the worst testimonies you can get.
I have to try and, when I'm doing
especially when you're sitting in the wrong chair.
Well, and I'm kind of the same way you are. I'm not so scientific, but that's because I'm not smart enough to be scientific.
No, am I?
He is. He is.
I
Ryan's the dreamer here.
I don't know, man. I got this weird connection with everything. We've had you can listen to our podcast. We've had a million discussions about everything, how humans are all connected in some way and how your brain produces this and that, and all kinds of other things. But my thing is that I'm with you as far as like, you can't say something is 100% if you don't fucking know. But my thing is like, if I see something personally and I feel it and I hear it, I know it's real to me, and I don't take it the wrong way, but I don't give a shit what anybody else says about it. It's like, I know what the hell I saw. But I also am the type of person that is like, if someone's like, hey, this is happening at my house, I'll go and I'm like, well, dude, that's your fucking pipes. Look at this. They're right next to this. Like, ding, ding, ding. It's you also can be the type of person who's just honest with people and be like, look, brother, this is what's going on. It's nothing else. I don't feel a thing here. I'm not some super empath. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium, none of that shit. But I do get feelings when I like a cramp in my stomach sometimes whenever I go into certain places and shit ends up happening there.
That's bad Thai food.
Yes. No. Well, it's funny because
that was the fat stripper.
Yeah, I saw that damn Coke's going straight to my stomach. But no, actually, it's funny because like me and my wife have been together for 20 years. I'm only 35, so most of my life I've been with her. We were friends before that. But what's cool about it is that she's seen this firsthand because like we'll be in situations. And maybe it's just me being able to read things, or maybe I don't know. But like I'll be able to be like, look, something's going to happen here. We need to get the fuck out of here. And boom, 5 minutes later, after we left, I get a phone call. Hey man, this shit just happened here. You should check. Or like we'll be multiple times we've been doing some shit we shouldn't have been doing. Well, inside her house or whatever, or her parents' house when we were younger. I'm like, all right, you got to get out of here because I just got a feeling your mom or dad's. Bam. 2 minutes later, here comes her mom or dad. I don't know. I get these feelings and shit ends up happening, or I just kind of feel that. So I kind of gauge things off of that, how I feel about things. What I don't do is kind of like how you said, I don't let things affect my brain to the point where that's what I'm worrying about. Like if someone says, hey, this is what's going on, there's a demon in my house. I don't go in there saying, okay, there's a demon in this person's house. You got to go in there and be like,
no, we got guys like Zach Baggins for that.
Holy shit.
Right.
It just touched me.
And kind of what you're talking about is that what do they call it? That think mentality or
the group mind thing,
the group think or whatever. If you push something into your head enough, you're going to create the energy.
Yes.
Going into these places.
You can make sure.
So like John said, he likes to clear the slate, and that's perfect. That's what you got to do.
The FBI did that experiment in the 50s or 60s. What was his name? The ghost that they made up.
The Philip experiment?
Yeah, the Philip experiment. So they made up this whole fiction of a ghost called Philip. They gave him a backstory, all kinds of stuff. And then they sat there, a group of them, and tried to contact him. And it did produce results from a ghost that didn't exist. They were getting, table lifting. And it was done scientifically. I mean, it was the Society for Parapsychological Research. I mean, they had scientists there and they were double checking everything. So I think we are able to create things if you get enough psych going,
Yes.
And that's where I was going with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With your brain, people are connected, and you make things happen. I mean, one of the worst things for me ever would be to be by myself, for the rest of my life, like never have any contact with anyone. That would be just fucking miserable. You know what I mean? And I'd be so raw. But no,
there is no more porn on the internet.
What are you saying? My wife was gone for half an hour a while ago, and
he has told me multiple times that if anything happens to delete his search history. But no, something I want to talk about real quick while we're on this concept of.
Wait a minute.
Not that concept.
Oh.
While we're talking about.
It went off while I was cleaning it.
Hey, it's fine. I can wash it as fast as I want to.
But something that's cool. It's not. I don't know. It's cool, but it's not really cool because I can tell what's going on. But a lot of people are like obsessed with this stuff. Have you guys seen? I'm sure you have. Have you seen the guy who's stuck in like 2027 or some shit like that, 2030, something like that? Have you seen that? There's this big thing going on all over the internet. There's a guy. I think it's in Brazil or somewhere like that, and he's claims that he's stuck in the year 20. I think it's 27 or some shit like that.
I've seen a bit of that. Yeah, he's sending like text messages or something.
Well, he's making these videos and he's putting them on TikTok and all this other shit. People are like, look, this date says this, and he's going into these places that should have people there, but they don't, and all this other stuff like malls and cop stations. He walks up to the police station, and I'm just sitting there and coming from, the scientific point of view, he's the last person on earth, who the fuck is running TikTok and who's running all these satellites and all this shit? who's doing all this shit?
Yeah.
But people are just obsessed with it. And I'm like, man, just think, we can't even keep our shit together now when there's hundreds of people working on shit, thousands of people. What do you think is going to happen if you're the only last person on earth and you're still be uploading to TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think logically, people,
Great.
It's fucking Skynet.
Yeah.
if you were the last person on Earth, why would you be uploading TikTok with no one to watch it?
Jesus Christ.
Give this
I would still
award.
be posting things to Facebook because I got nothing better to
Just
do.
in case.
I'd have just as many followers as I do now.
But yeah, I like that. There's just this. I look at everything with common sense. But then again, I also am open-minded enough to listen to people when they tell me certain things and dig into it.
If you had any common sense, we'd have never started the show.
Hey, that's the greatest thing that ever happened to you. You find your first friend.
Yeah. Hey, I'm still in the basement talking to myself.
I tell myself all the time, it's the only intelligent conversation I have some days.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I have no intelligent conversations. But anyways, yeah, I like that approach to everything with that, and it's to me, it makes my fucking brain go crazy because I start thinking about this shit, and I'm like, okay, if the paranormal, whatever we want to call it, paranormal, if it's real, which I 100% believe it is. I've seen shit with my own eyes. I felt things. I know all this stuff. It's like, what is it? Where are they coming from? If there's a heaven and a hell, which like I said, I'm a dimensions guy. I believe there's lower dimensions and higher dimensions, and you play a game, and how you are in life, your karma and all that kind of bullshit's going to affect whether you level up or level down, whatever it may be. So I try to treat people accordingly. You know what I mean? I treat everybody with respect until you lose my respect, and then you can fuck off. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
So that's what happened here.
Yeah, shut up. No respect. But no. Yeah. So what's you guys? Any of you? This is for any of you guys to answer. What is your guys' outlook on the paranormal and what it may be, what it is?
Whew.
Well,
you guys have a good night.
Man, that
was deep.
That's deep. Like
shit. And I thought my question was going to be fucked up.
I'll tell you when I first started all of this shit, and I call it shit because I've spent a lot of money, been to a lot of places, done a lot of shit, heard a lot of stuff, seen a lot of stuff. I was all in. I mean, it's 100% real. I can't deny it, whatever. And then I met John. And John just right. John just fucked my world up. but no, I mean, he just put my thinking, my thought process into a different, a little bit different mode.
You need that sometimes, though.
Absolutely. I mean, it needed to be wrangled in because, for sure, I was definitely going down the wrong path. I mean, I knew in my mind what I wanted to accomplish, and what I wanted to accomplish is kind of what we're trying to accomplish now. Like, there has to be a reason for all of it. Like, in order to be able to find anything, we have to know what the fuck we're looking for.
Yeah.
And one of the things that resonated with, I mean, and I'll say this, I mean, I think between the three of us, I think we've all learned something from each other. I mean, I, as much as John won't admit this, I think I have taught him some stuff.
What not to do.
Right.
Don't snort cocaine off the back.
Right. Make sure they're skinny. God.
The stranger.
My wife's going to listen to this.
Man, you're in trouble.
No, trust me, I'll be all right.
No, it'll be good. It'll all be good.
Yeah. So, I just lost my goddamn train of thought.
That's what happens. That's what happens on this show.
I mean, you're talking about John grounding you. I mean, essentially,
absolutely.
I
mean, and I think, for instance, I mean, I'm the president of the board of a Victorian House Museum here in Cedar Rapids, in Marion, Iowa.
Okay.
And when I first met John, they came to the Granger House to do an investigation because we're open to paranormal investigations, which is kind of rare for a museum to let people do that. But
absolutely,
I mean, truthfully, it's another revenue stream, and it's it needs all the money it can get. But John was all over the ghost box is stupid, and I kind of told him, I mean, yeah, it does produce some stupid shit. I'll agree with you, but sometimes you just can't deny what's coming through, and therefore he's done some experiments that I'm not going to say 100% believes in it, but definitely some things have happened that have changed his tune.
That's my love-hate relationship as a spirit box.
Right. Yeah. And, there's definitely been some things that have happened that he's been like, I really can't explain that. And I'm like, fucker. But, but on the other hand, he has pointed out to me, I mean, truthfully, a lot of the equipment that I was buying was stupid. I mean, it was a dumb purchase, I mean, anybody that says it detects ghosts, well, guess what? It probably doesn't, because
right.
Either you can't say that until you prove it ghost.
Right.
On my line of thinking.
Right.
It's like, what is a ghost? How do you know it detects it?
Right.
Why are you saying that?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how the Sensor Lab was born, because we were all having some type of an experience with nothing really to back it up that could show a change. And, if you feel a cold spike or something going on, did the temperature change? We need to record that. That's kind of where it all came from.
Right. Because most of the times, like for instance, your infrared thermometer, if I feel something cold on my leg, by the time I reach into my bag, get that out and point it, it's probably gone.
Correct.
And that's kind of where it all kind of developed into, we need to have something that just records nonstop.
We wanted to take it from just a personal experience to, look, this physically changed the environment.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing to proof that we can get to right now with what we know.
The other good thing we found using it is, and the example at Edinburgh with the door. So when we were at Edinburgh Manor, we were leaving and there was a door that was open that someone said was closed originally. And I'm like, well, you're just probably mistaken, because that, in all probability, 99.99999% is what's happened. But as we were going through, I saw a huge spike in the magnometer, the magnetic field, and also in the radiation. And because I got a timestamp, we weren't in the house at that time, because we went back because we always leave a voice recorder next to it. And at that spike, we heard footsteps and we heard the creak of the door. Right where that door was, where we.
Oh yeah.
Now we would never have caught that without
that piece of equipment. Yeah.
Right. So it works both ways. It's not just this happened. Let's look at the readings. It's also you go through, look at the readings, and say, oh, there's a spike there. Let's go back and see what happened there. Because what it lets us do is we can investigate even though we're not in the house. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I see. That's like it's kind of like you said. Most of the time, you can prove that this is just something else. Like with older doors and older wood and stuff like that. Everything, the temperature outside, the temperature
humidity,
inside, everything changes. Like my wife, we just recently remodeled our house, and the boys' in our boys' bedroom, the closet door kept opening. She would shut it, and it would open every now and again. And she's like, I'm telling you, every time I leave that. So I went in there and I shut the door and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can see that the door doesn't fit perfectly in the jamb. So there's only about a freaking small amount of the door lock that actually goes into the hole. So anything, you shut another door, you walking outside, you open the window, anything's going to pop that open.
Yep.
And the temperature changes.
Exactly. It was such a minute amount of that going into it to where anything would open that door up. So she's like, oh, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. So I'm like, well,
but he went in there hoping it was paranormal.
Fuck yeah. I was like,
I got my own private ghost.
I would.
I was wearing nothing but a GoPro and a pair of tidy whities. Ready to find what was going on.
That brings up something really important to me in this field. I don't think enough people do like what you talked about. You have to debunk what you find. You can't jump straight to ghost. You have to try and find another reason, even if it's not explainable, the best that you can.
Yeah.
And that's like to me, that's the best evidence is whenever you're like, okay, I can't fucking for the life of me figure out why the fuck this is going on. And the only way to, I've done all these tests, I've done all this shit, and I can't, so I don't know.
And what these guys have the equipment to record it.
Yes, and that's what's cool.
The other thing being, I mean, you don't, for example, like Adam, when we first met, and there were other people at the Granger, they're using the K2 meters because they've seen that on the TV and that's what you use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the TV, what they don't tell you is they've edited the crap out of it. And all the questions they've asked, like over the 3 days that they've been doing this, it's never gone off. And then at one time, it will go off when they ask a question. That's the one they'll show.
Yeah.
And we had one guy at the Granger house. His K2 meter was going off in the carriage house by the lawnmower. And he says, oh, there's something on this lawnmower, something sitting on the lawnmower. And he kept bringing the K2 over and it was flickering, and for him, that was good. But then instead of a K2, because the K2s aren't shielded, and they're just saying, yeah, I'm registering something, I've got what's called a tri-field. And you can switch that to see if it's magnetic, static, or radio frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over there, and it wasn't doing anything until I hit the radio frequency selection. And then it was matching his K2. So I knew it was a radio frequency. So in that case, it's probably someone's wireless router or,
Yeah.
So that it's not that you have to build your own equipment, because I look at it this way. If you find a piece of equipment that measures things and it's used in a trade, like a tri-field meter is used, by, in an industry. So a K2 meter, I don't know, is used in an industry. It's just, a very cheap EMF meter that, found its way into the paranormal. And they're not shielded. So, with our equipment, we don't turn our phones off because we don't have to. Because, we get equipment that's shielded and the phones aren't going to sync with it. It's only going to...
Yeah. That's freaking cool, man. I'm telling you, dude, like when I first seen that at the conference, I was like, dude, this is fucking sweet, man.
Yeah.
That's a nice fucking setup.
The best thing we built, and we'll probably put that out if people want to buy it too.
Yeah, pull it out.
But basically,
Ryan said pull it out and show it to him.
Wide angle lens. But we got I looked at when they came out. They did the big craze was the EM pump, like the goes feed on energy. And when I opened one up, it had a 9-volt motor in there, and someone had stuck a magnet on the end of it. And I'm like, well, why would you stick a magnet on the end? Because motors work. The motor's got magnets in it. That's how they work.
Right.
And then when we measured it, it puts out a little bit of energy if you go up there with like a proper meter. So I'm like, well, there's got to be a better way of doing that. So let's test that theory and really put some energy into the air. And I came across, so I thought, well, wait a minute, a metal detector, that puts out a massive amount of EM out, and it has the added advantage of, if it gets reflected back to it, it goes off. That's how they work. So
right.
you move them over the ground, it's pulsing out EM, and if ferrous metal hits it and bounces it back, the metal detector goes off. So we've got converted, they look like radar dishes. They stand straight up like radar dishes, and they put out a heck of a lot of energy into the air.
Yeah, we've seen that there too.
We saw that at the
And if anything gets close to it and reflects that energy back, it goes off. Now, the reason I think that is awesome, when we were at Edinburgh, we had one at the bottom of the stairs, one at the top of the stairs. When we were getting ready to go, the one at the bottom of the stairs just started going off. And we're like, well, the only reason that should go off is there's metal flakes in the air. Why is it going off?
Yeah.
So it's going off, and I'm like, well, maybe it's short-circuited, or because that's what I think of first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went up, and as we were coming up, Nico said, "Can you stop doing that, please?" And it stopped.
Oh shit! There you go.
That's out of a coincidence, but I turned it off, reset it. It was fine. Nico was like, "We're just testing the equipment. Can you do that again?" And it started going off. I'm like, oh, come on. So I turned it off, and I'm like, look, we're going. That's bullshit. We still had the one at the top of the stairs. Nico's like, if it's really you, can you set the one at the top of the stairs off? And it started going off upstairs. I was like, yep, that's pretty good fucking evidence.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I was going to ask you question, but that might have been it. I was going to ask you, what was the best piece of evidence you found so far?
That was one of them.
That was one of them.
There's
definitely one of them.
There's some that are really, I mean, like I say, I try and debunk the crap out of everything, but some things are just too coincidental.
Yeah.
The one really freaky one is when we were at Farrar, and this was downtime, we just sit and bullshit. And we had the sensor board running, and when I looked at the data, there was like this huge spike for about 2 minutes of everything up. And when we went back to the recordings, we were bullshitting. We weren't really doing anything. And then they were just talking about the owners that live there. And they were saying, oh, I wonder, you never really see them. They're really quiet. And this whole conversation over the owners, it started when they started talking about the owners, and it quit as soon as they moved on to another subject. That's kind of freaky. But we had a guest investigator from Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
Yeah. And he's got his own sensor board. He was building the same kind of thing. 2 weeks later, he called me up and he said, you're never going to believe what's happened. I had a spike on my board when I went back and looked at it. We were just bullshitting. I was talking to investigators there. They asked me what I've been doing. And he started talking about Farrar. His spike came when he was talking about Farrar at the beginning and when he finished talking about Farrar at the end. And I was like, that's fucking freaky.
All that distance away.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That's crazy. So I mean, it's kind of along the same lines as Ryan's question. Where is the best place you guys have investigated?
The best place, well, I can't tell you the best place because I don't really have one. I can tell you probably my best experience that I can't explain, and that was on the Queen Mary in Long Beach. And we were sitting there, and we were and if you've ever heard the stories of someone being murdered in the swimming pool area, a woman was murdered.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's really any evidence of that being truthful. But we were in the locker room of there, and it was a kind of a semi-public investigation with a small group of people. There's probably 5 of us there. And out of nowhere while we're sitting in there, and we have it recorded, but it's very faint. You just hear this blood curdling scream from it's a female's voice, and it went on for probably 30-40 seconds. And I mean, if I would have read in the Long Beach paper the next day that somebody got killed on the Queen Mary, I would not have been surprised. That's just how long it lasted and just how real it sounded.
Yeah.
And the guide that was with us, he walked all around and couldn't find any evidence of where in the hell that came from.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. Honestly.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Man, while you're talking about the Queen Mary, I got to tell you this really cool story.
Here we go.
Well, and this isn't even me. This is from somebody else. So I work with a girl. Her and her mom both work. I work at a car dealership, and her and her mom both work there. Well, she just graduated high school, so this was last year for a summer trip. Her and some of her girlfriends had went to California and did the Queen Mary. And so they're walking through there, looking, like following a tour or something, and looking around. Well, they ended up walking off into this other room, and there was a guy in there looking around at stuff, and he starts talking to these girls and telling them different things about the Queen Mary and how this worked and how the ship actually operated and stuff. And they talked to this guy for, I don't know, she said about 5 minutes or so, and they ended up walking off, and he stayed in that room. And as they're walking out, apparently, I've never been there, but apparently there's a point where they show you, like, there's a bunch of pictures of people that are like, that were on the ship or whatever, and all this different stuff. The guy that was talking to them in this room was in one of these pictures, and this picture was from like the 20s or the 30s or something like that. Very, very trippy, because she was like, I swear to God, that was the same guy we were just talking to. So they asked somebody who this guy was, in the picture, and they had told her, oh, he was one of the crew members that, worked on the ship, back in the 20s or the 30s or whatever. It's been gone for years. And she's like, you don't have somebody here that's like a tour guide that looks similar to this guy? And they're like, no, we only have the one tour guide here tonight. Very, very trippy story.
Did that crew member get fired for murdering someone in a swimming pool?
Maybe.
See, I've never had. I have seen for sure a lot of like black shadows, as they say.
Oh yeah. Peepers.
I have seen like some. I have seen ghosts. I have seen like shit that I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then they're not there. Now I've never talked to anybody like that. However, I have, and I'm wondering what you guys think about this. You're dreaming when you're asleep. Your brain produces DMT. That's what makes you dream. It's part of what makes you dream. It's all that stuff. I have had conversations with people who have passed away fairly recent to the time they passed, like a day or two after they passed away, in my dreams that, like, I woke up crying one time. I had a friend of mine who was a year younger than me, and he had passed away. I had known him my whole life. And he passed away, and 2 days later, he came to me in a dream. Straight up had a conversation with me, dude, hugged me. I felt that. Told me he loved me, all this shit. And I woke up, and my wife woke up next to me. She's like, what's going on? I was fucking had tears in my eyes. And I didn't even know I was crying. I just woke up and I felt myself. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is your thoughts on that? Because for me personally, like I said, I believe in dimensions, and I believe there's different levels of beings that can communicate with you somehow, but there also are people that that you have, for me anyway, that I've communicated with after they've died. I 100% know I have. What's your outlook on that? Have you ever, or has anything ever happened to you?
I personally haven't had anything like that happen to me.
you're describing, if you guys ever heard of Peter Fenwick or
Yes.
Fenwick? Yeah.
Yes.
He's a neuroscience scientist, never believed in it, and then he started getting patients talking about NDEs, near-death experiences. Now, he spent most of his life studying this stuff, and what you just described is one of the stages of death or dying, in that you will get every story, there are visitations from the recently dead, or even sometimes soon to be dead. And that's exactly what you just described. Now, personally, I've never experienced it, but, if you look at Dr. Fenwick's work, you've just described almost to the T. The other weird thing in his work, and it's been documented, the old story about the clock stop when somebody dies, that's recorded. It does happen. So, who knows?
It's that energy black. Yeah, man. And it's just really weird to me because, like, I'm super open to things, but I'm also very conscious and very aware of what life is and what's real, what's not to me or whatever. So I don't believe everybody when they tell me shit. I'm like, I could tell when someone's just fucking feeding me a line of shit. They keep going with it. They keep going with it, and they're like,
it's kind of how these guys feel right now.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna tell you,
no, not at all.
I'm 100%. I'm 100%. I'm just who I am. That's why a lot of people fucking call me an asshole, because I don't fucking. I hold nothing back. I tell you what's real and what's not, and all that bullshit. But like, it's just really crazy to me to think about, like, how that's all connected. Some fucking how it's connected. That's why I'm not afraid. Yeah. I'm not afraid to die. The only thing I'm afraid of dying is leaving my 2 little boys without a dad. That's it. That's the only thing that bothers me about passing away. If I can live to where they're older and they're good, and I can make them good men, I'm fucking great. I'm not afraid to go to the other side or whatever it may be. But like,
probably living longer. I mean, everybody kind of wants to live longer, but we kind of get it wrong, because if I live longer, I'm going to be in like an 85-year-old man's body and I can't do shit. So the reason I want to live longer, I can't do anymore.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, like, to me, that connection, there's a connection there somewhere. Now, where it all intertwines is the fucking brain, man. The human brain is so complex and fucking crazy and it's like a ball of energy. That's basically what your brain is, a ball of electricity and energy. And it's like, so my question to you guys is, do you think that that's a legit thing, or do you think that's just your mind producing these chemicals and doing this shit?
I think that can be, honestly, I think it goes both ways, really.
That's how I feel.
Kind of like Ryan.
I mean, that's the tough question. I mean, how much do you open your... I just thought that.
Switch hitter.
But no, how much do you open yourself up to, and will you, in a way, validate yourself or create that and make it happen for your own personal experience? Because we're all living our own personal experiences. So are we creating what we believe? You have your truths, I have mine. How far does that go?
Yeah. This is why I've taken philosophy course, just because it's called the hardest problem in science. Does consciousness survive? Is consciousness a product of the brain, or is it separate from the brain?
Yeah,
it's the hardest thing, because, and that's another reason I like go looking for ghosts, because if I actually see a ghost, and even if I can absolutely prove it to myself, then I know that consciousness is not part of the brain, and then maybe we do live on after we're dead. The thing being is, so in philosophy, if you do, I take like the Great Courses Plus. I got subscription.
Yeah.
There's awesome stuff on there. And then on the flip side of that, there's a guy called Chris French, and he does animalistic psychiatry. I think it's called psychology. Yeah. So basically, he goes and does experiments, and how much of what we think is everything that we think is anomalous and paranormal, why we think that way. And he's open-minded, but for example, dowsing, he took all these people that can do dowsing, and he's put things in containers with the lid shut and see how many of them can find what they say they can find. And sadly, none of them. But the thing is, what's interesting to him is when he pulls them out and says that they didn't find anything, where he's really interested in is their excuses why they couldn't find it. It's not that they could find it or not. It's why they believe that they can dowse, even though it's been plainly shown that they can't. You see?
Right.
So to me, that's interesting because and the hardest thing for me is if I go to conferences and people talk to me and tell me things, I can't stop myself analyzing the person. You know,
well, you know,
why do you believe that?
That's what I was saying. Like when you have your bullshit meter on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what's crazy, just real quick, it was funny because you talked about dowsing rods. They use those. We live out in the country, and I deliver out in the country for my job and stuff. But they use dowsing rods to find water lines and shit. I've watched them do it myself out here.
Yeah. So what would be a fun thing for you guys on a podcast? Get your camera out, get whatever big enough containers.
Mm-hmm.
Get like 15 of them. In one of them, put a jar of water and see if they can find it. Really? Yeah. I mean, there's no harm in it. If they can do it, they'll find it.
Yeah, it would be cool considering my brother-in-law just bought me a set of dowsing rods.
Yeah.
I pulled them out of the box and I went, and that's all I know.
The only thing I've been able to find with mine is magnets. That's the only thing I can find with mine.
They may not be using that to find water, then they might be using it to find like certain rocks that have a certain, that they're going to be digging through or whatever. Maybe they have like a magnetic, maybe that. But I promise you, I have seen them using them. I'm like, what the? I'm like, is that motherfucker using dowsing rods out there? And sure as fuck he was. I was like, what the fuck? But so yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, it's the personal. That's what we talk about constantly on here when it comes to paranormal. Is that everything is very personal. It if you feel it. Other than that, everyone can have a reason to disbelieve or believe something. But until you feel it and you get that own personal feeling on things, then something is there.
Yeah. And
I will tell you, like I personally have talked to people, but it's always been in a fucking dream state. I have never talked to anyone while I was awake. Now, then they say, well, how you know you're not awake when you're dreaming or dreaming when you're awake? It's, it's all, what is it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's.
Well, and I want to bring something up that John was talking about earlier with the near-death experiences and stuff. I'll just tell you a really shortened version of a weird thing that happened to us as a family.
20 minutes later.
This will only take about 2 hours. So my brother-in-law passed away at a very young age. He was the only man that my sister ever loved. They got married right out of high school. Were married for 26 years, and he ended up passing away at the age of 44. And so it's really bizarre. So my sister, of course, she's all distraught trying to figure it out. Now, he was retired military. She knew he wanted to be buried at Jefferson Barracks. So she contacts Jefferson Barracks, and come to find out, he had already set up his funeral. He had done that 2 weeks prior. And there was nothing. This guy was in perfect health. I mean, I say perfect health. He had had some knee operations and stuff, but wasn't in bad health at all. So as they're getting ready for the funeral, so if that wasn't odd enough, as they're getting ready for the funeral, she's trying to figure out what to bury him in, get in the closet, and there's a brand new suit hanging there that he had just bought a few days ago. So that took care of itself. Well, he was really big into fish, and my sister doesn't know how to do. My sister's a very smart woman. She just doesn't know how to do like household things, like take care of the house or take care of the fish. So here she is. She's like trying to figure out, how am I going to take care of this huge, elaborate fish tank? So we're all up there the morning of the funeral. We wake up that morning, walk out into the living room. All the fish are dead in the tank. Every one of them. it was just one weird occurrence after another that all right around his death. And like a month after he died, they had a big swimming pool in the backyard, and she was trying to figure out how she was going to close that swimming pool. Next week, the backyard flooded, took the swimming pool out, gone. Now, you talk about something, a bunch of strange occurrences happening right after the death of someone. I mean, that's pretty weird coincidences going on there.
Yeah, and that's once again, me being me. The line I take is, how good are we really at figuring out odds? And studies say, and people say, oh, you're just a skeptic. I'm not. I'm very open-minded, but I also have to try and ground myself and go, well, let's roll this back. We know where we think it's headed. Let's roll it back and look at the details again and things like that. So, I'm not saying things aren't paranormal, but
right.
I'm also looking at what are the odds of it being paranormal versus the odds of it being a coincidence.
Yeah.
Usually the odds of it being a coincidence win.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not discounting your story or anything.
Oh, no. And that's the whole thing about my story is all of these are strange coincidences. I'm not saying that they're necessarily paranormal. It's just really bizarre that all of those things just fell into line at that
when
time.
You get enough correlations, like how can you ignore it? Sometimes.
Right. Now the fish. Okay, so he had been dead for about a week before he was buried. Okay, maybe the fish weren't being taken care of the way they were supposed. I don't know. I don't know anything about fish. But it just weird that they all died at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
And when I say all, there were maybe 5 or 6 fish in this big tank.
Sure.
But something happened that killed them all.
But on the other hand, I mean, did it set her mind at ease at all?
Well, yeah, except for me having to scramble to try and take this fish tank down before her 2 young children woke up that morning.
Oh, well, yeah.
It was like, oh my God, we got to get this thing out of here before the kids see all the dead fish.
Right.
Where's the fish gone? They're all happy and springing around in a fish farm somewhere.
Right. Yeah. The old we took them to the farm.
Yeah. They're out in that swimming pool. Oh shit, it's gone too.
Well, it's so crazy to me that this is again how I say everything is connected. Somehow everything. It's just like with the plants on the earth. They're all connected, man. There's trees.
Do you know that plants farm us? We don't farm plants.
Well, yeah, that's the whole.
Yeah, they feed us oxygen. We die, we fertilize them. They're farming us.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy? Something that's cool about it too is just like the simple fact that there's trees that I can't remember where it's at and what tree it is for the life of me, but it changes the way it tastes. Whenever, say, there's a tree line on a hill and there's animals eating these leaves off these trees, it sends a message to the trees below it to change the way it tastes, so that the animals don't eat those leaves to save the tree.
Now you're just talking crazy.
It's 100% real. Look it up. Look it up.
I've never heard
he's going to grab a book. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I am gonna look that up. Absolutely.
Look that up. Hey, you look that up, and if I'm bullshitting, you can send me a dick pic.
No.
I don't have enough Zoom on my phone.
For real, look it up, and if you do, and when you find it, send us a message. Let me know if I'm real or not. I'm telling you.
Is this the time for that? If you've got an enormous stock, email us at Horror Chronicles Podcast.
One of the world's mysteries to me now.
It's just cool how everything is fucking connected. To me, what's funny.
These guys are like, these are the most unprofessional fuckers we've ever talked to in our lives.
Hey, that's how we like to roll.
Second most unprofessional.
Right. We're number one. But no, to me, it would just be a boring life if you went through life just thinking that there's nothing and you die and you're gone. And then that's it. It's crazy to me to think that why are we here and there's no reason for us to be here except we live and we die and that's it. What's the fucking point? There's got to be a reason for everything to me. And not only that, but I don't know, just more to it, man. Like, I know it's fucking cliche and he gets tired of me hearing about it from me, but when you have kids, the love you have for your child and like it's fucking crazy. The shit you would do for a kid. Mm-hmm. Just like recently, I heard a story about a guy who had left, him and his wife left their two babies, I think 6 months old baby daughter twins, with a grandparent and a niece till they go out on a dinner date or whatever. The house catches fire while they're gone. They pull up to the house and the grandma and the aunt's outside and they said they couldn't get to the babies in time. The fucking dad runs inside and just because he couldn't even see, but he just knows the layout of the house. He goes in there and he gets his babies and he gets like really bad 3rd-degree burns and his baby's got a little bit of burn, but they're going to be okay. But fuck, man. He ran to a fucking house that's fully engulfed, couldn't even fucking see. And that shit just kicks in, you know?
Dude, thanks for the Debbie Downer story.
I think it's a badass story. That's fucking...
No, actually, here's the thing. So on the flip side of your why are we here, point of view, now, if we take that cold, hard science point, why are we here? We're here to pass on our DNA and then protect our DNA once we've created the next generation of DNA.
Yeah.
So running into the house and saving your DNA is what we're hardwired to do. So,
I believe
no, and I'm not. What I'm saying is they're both, two sides of the coin. So you've got cold hard science has no spirituality, no religion, no nothing. They're like, okay, we're biological machines. Our whole purpose on the life is to pass on our DNA to the next generation, and they do the same thing. And then, so,
that's survival.
I hate that idea. I ain't gonna lie, I hate that idea. And one of the reasons I go look for ghosts, because if I can find enough proof for me in my own mind that there are ghosts, then there is something else, and I'm good with that. But if you look at it logically, cold hard, it's a dismal prospect. But until now, we can't prove anything else.
Some people don't want to have children too, so that's another thing too. There's a lot of people who don't care to have children and won't have children. Mm-hmm. But that's my whole aspect on things. I actually, I'm with you on that as far as the two sides of a coin. Mm-hmm. You have science, and he's a science guy, and I'm more of a I don't know what you would call me. Fucking, I'm out.
I know what I'd call you, but
I've been called everything except my fucking name. We'll put that. No, I like to think of it as just and that's probably why I'm happy in life, because I'm like, there's got to be more to it. The feeling I have, of being a parent. I know it's fucking boring to some people, but it just is. That's just the way it is, man. I can't sleep when my kids are sick, or if my kid's uncomfortable. It's hard for me to be like, it's weird. So I think there's a higher connection there. However, I do think that some people have that thing that you have to reproduce. That's what you're supposed to do. But clearly in 2021, we know that a lot of people don't think that you have to reproduce. You can do whatever you want. But,
some people also think that they should reproduce more than they should.
100%. But it's just really cool, man. I'm glad that you guys came on. This has been a badass conversation.
Yeah, definitely,
man.
Definitely.
But do you guys want to show some of your stuff?
Sure.
Maybe that's what's for sale already, or even stuff that you got there that not for sale yet.
I've got this. It's not live yet to buy. It's phantomsciencelabs.com. You can see a couple of things, and we're still working on it. Our problem is that we all work. So once we put these things so people can buy them, the problem is then you have to make them.
Produce
them.
What do you do
if you get 100 orders? Oh my God, what are we going to do? Yeah. And we don't make much on them. I mean, the lab itself is expensive, but that's just because it takes us about 10 hours of labor to put it together, and the parts are kind of expensive. So, we don't make that much where we could say, hey, we're starting to sell these, let's quit our job. That's never going to happen. So, And then the other place we're on phantomscience.net. That's where we just do our general overview of stuff. So, and then I also wrote a book called Leaps of Faith about objectivity in ghost hunting. So,
nice.
You know, if people are interested, they can look at that.
And there's a ton of videos and how they're used, and the experiences that we told you about earlier. Some of them we've got on tape and in recording.
Oh, awesome.
Like the Edinburgh one. We were very lucky to have a camera going during the Edinburgh one.
It was just a quick handy cam thing, so it's all crappy and shaky. But that's the other thing. People say, why is there never any good photos of ghosts? It's like, well, because you're never sure when it's going to happen. You just grab the camera. What's that? You know,
you can be rest assured when there's a crystal clear photo of this ghost, something fucked up. But when there's some fucking oh shit moment, that's probably fucking real.
Actually, in the Leaps of Faith book, there's a photo we took in infrared. We didn't see it real time because it was pitch black, but we had I had the camera going. I was just snapping away in infrared, and there's this massive shadow in the middle of the corridor, and it's like it doesn't follow any contours of the walls, anything. It's like, well, I looked at that and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
He actually analyzed the photo to see where light reflections were coming from in every angle, like 19 different angles.
And there was only one infrared one coming straight from the camera, so. You know, I'm looking at reflections and everything. It was in the middle of the corridor, just on some stairs, and it did not follow the contours of the wall. It was just like this weird freaking shadow shape in the middle. So I was like,
that's how you gotta do it, man.
I can't explain what that is. So
we don't get a lot of that stuff. Like some of the other people we know that see shadows all the time and stuff. We don't see a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. We get a lot of subtle stuff, like the doors closing or noises or EVPs, you know.
I think a lot of people start off, you know, with the good intentions and are really deep into it. You know, like everyone makes fun of Zach Baggins. I actually, you know, I find it entertaining for myself. Just if I want to get away from all the fucking bullshit in the world, I can watch some shit and just get entertained by it. But, you know, I believe that deep down he really fucking loves that shit. It's just once money gets involved, it changes some people sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're creating entertainment. You know?
Yeah, look what happened to Ghost Hunters.
Yeah. Plus, you know, you think they've got producers of the show that look at it and say, there's not enough happening, we need something to happen. So then all of a sudden something scripted will happen. Just to, you know, because we've been on investigations where nothing's happened.
Yeah, anyone who's done this on their own, you know, you get ones where nothing happens.
Oh, fuck, yeah, all the time. More than often, it's all the time. But, you know, this has been a freaking awesome conversation, guys.
Definitely, man.
I've had a blast, you know.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been nice.
If any of you guys ever want to come back on the show, you know, just hit us up in our email and shit, and we'll talk about your book or talk about whatever. You guys want to tell some stories and shit. I don't know if any of you guys are into anything else, you know, like aliens or freaking cryptids or anything like that. We talk about all that shit.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And that's what cracks me up too. Just real quick, you mentioned that thing about grainy photos and shit like that. I was thinking about that the other day. They're like, how come no one's ever got good photos of these aliens when they're in these fire? I'm like, they're doing like 600 to 700 miles an hour. Like, what do you? Well, and I'm like, what do you think you're going to catch at that speed? You know what I'm saying?
Well, how come
we actually saw one? Me and Nico saw one at Buxton. Buxton is like a ghost town in Iowa. There's just foundations left, and we were standing there, and it's in the middle of nowhere, so there's very little light pollution. And we were looking up, and you could see this thing. It was a white dot, and it was really high, and it was moving really fast.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, that's a satellite. Look at that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it changed direction.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm sitting there like, hey, look at it now.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you guys ever just want to come on and bullshit about that.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
But
it'd be great.
Is there any websites or any kind of info you guys want to get out there? For everybody?
So it's phantomscience.net is our, you know, catch-all website. The store will be phantomsciencelabs.com. So, you know, between those two, we're on Facebook, although honestly we haven't done much lately on Facebook. Like I say, real life gets in the way.
Oh yeah.
And we stopped doing it, but we also used to have a podcast on Spreaker where we discuss things like demons and shadow people. And
man, if you guys ever want to come on,
you guys need to come on here
back on the show. Talk
we'll
about
talk. Yeah, no, whenever you want to have us, just reach out and say, hey, we got a day open. We'll talk
about it after we're done recording, real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right on. Perfect.
But yeah, guys. Anything else you wanted to shout out there? From anyone else?
Granger House in Marion, Iowa. Anybody wants to investigate it?
Look us up.
Yeah, what's it? The Granger House. Oh.
Yeah, something. I don't know. Look the Granger House up on Facebook.
Granger House.
Like, I'm just.
You'll find it. Right on, man.
Just Google that shit. Damn it.
You're right.
Google's your friend.
That's right. That's when we tested a lot of these ideas for the first time.
Yeah.
All of our new developed equipment. We were like, let's try it out there.
We've had some weird shit at the Granger House too.
Some stuff we can't talk about on here.
Yeah.
Well, we can't.
Are you kidding? They can talk about anything.
Yeah, so you talk about whatever in here. But anyway, guys, that's going to be the podcast, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We sure the hell did. Horror fam, we love you guys. As always, you guys are awesome. Anyways, guys, that's it. But more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.
These measures